A mother's love, a son's struggle, introducing Curtis and his journey.
Curtis was a bright, kind young man. He had a contagious laugh and a gentle soul. He loved music, basketball, and spending time with his family. But Curtis also struggled. He struggled with schizophrenia, a cruel illness that often clouded his thoughts and distorted his reality. We tried everything to help him: therapy, medication, hospitalization. We explored every avenue, hoping for a breakthrough. We celebrated small victories and endured heartbreaking setbacks. Despite the challenges, Curtis remained a source of love and light in our lives.
Curtis' illness started as a young man. His illness made it difficult for him to remain grounded. He longed for peace and understanding, something that seemed to elude him in familiar surroundings. Curtis had this impulse he couldn't control and would take off to faraway places he left without a word, leaving behind a trail of worry and unanswered questions. Curtis had traveled to New York. I tracked his every move until he returned home. Curtis' last adventure ended him in Hawaii. When I tracked him in Hawaii by alarming law enforcement, and I received a call shortly after detectives stated he had been attacked but was okay.
The detective stated I need to hurry up and get him home before something bad happened. 3 days later, my son was on the news being arrested for a very serious crime. My son stated he did not commit this crime, and the professional psychologist and psychiatrist stated he was not malingering. Why did Curtis change his plea? Perhaps coerced and manipulated, being told he was going to a mental hospital and he had to take psychotropic medications. I knew Curtis didn't want that. He was in denial of his mental illness. Curtis was not capable of understanding the consequences of pleading guilty. He would experience hallucination and hear voices.
Even with the diagnosis, Curtis would never take another life. Curtis was framed by someone. There was evidence of another's involvement. The authorities, swayed by prejudice and eager for a swift resolution, zeroed in on Curtis, the outsider with a history of mental illness. A crime, a conviction, and a mother's fight for truth.
The evidence against Curtis was flimsy at best, and the physical evidence was inconclusive. Despite this, Curtis was arrested and charged with murder. He became another statistic, a young black man lost in a system designed to punish rather than rehabilitate.
Curtis wasn't given the opportunity to fight for his rights. His illness played a major role, and prosecutors disregarded his illness. Curtis, confused and overwhelmed, was unable to effectively advocate for himself. His mental illness, once a private struggle, was now public fodder, used to paint him as dangerous and unstable.
Curtis remained in segregation due to his mental illness for over a year. This is a disregard of human life. Curtis, my son, was sentenced to life in prison. My world shattered. The system had failed my son. I refused to accept this injustice. I knew in my heart that Curtis was innocent, that his illness had made him a convenient scapegoat. This was the beginning of my fight for Curtis, a fight for truth, justice, and the recognition of his humanity.
Section 4, broken systems, broken lives, systemic failures and their impact on Curtis's case. Curtis's story is not unique. It is a stark reminder of the systemic failures that disproportionately impact marginalized communities, particularly African Americans struggling with mental health challenges. The criminal justice system, instead of offering support and rehabilitation, often exacerbates existing inequalities, leading to wrongful convictions and perpetuating cycles of trauma. The lack of adequate mental health resources, particularly in underserved communities, is a national crisis. Individuals like Curtis, failed by a system ill-equipped to address their needs, often find themselves caught in a downward spiral, their vulnerabilities exploited, their voices silenced. Curtis's case exposes the intersection of racial bias, poverty, and inadequate mental health care. It highlights the urgent need for reform, for a system that prioritizes rehabilitation, provides culturally competent care, and ensures equal justice for all, regardless of race, socioeconomic background, or mental health status. Section 5, Justice for Curtis, Justice for All, a call to action. This is not just about Curtis. This is about all the Curtises out there, the countless individuals failed by a system that should protect them. We need your help. We need legal experts who understand the complexities of mental illness and the criminal justice system. We need advocates who will fight tirelessly to overturn wrongful convictions and ensure that those living with mental illness receive the support and understanding they deserve. We need your voices to amplify ours, to demand justice for Curtis and countless others, support organizations working to reform the criminal justice system and improve mental health care access, educate yourselves and others about these critical issues. Together, we can create a more just and equitable society, one where mental illness is met with compassion, not punishment, and where every individual has the opportunity to live a life of dignity and hope. Fight for Curtis, fight for justice, fight for change.